The first time I heard him play, I stayed after the service just to sit with the echo. The organ had always been a part of the church. Grand reverent, a reminder of something older than us all. But under his fingers, it was something else entirely. Softer, sadder, like he was speaking in a language the rest of us had forgotten. Before I continue the rest of the story, kindly do me a little favor. Please hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment your favorite part of the story below. I love reading your thoughts and reactions. They truly keep me going. Now, allow me to take a moment to appreciate you. Yes, you. Thank you for making us a 28-strong community. Each one of you is a pillar of strength, color, and courage. This journey wouldn't be possible without your love, your voice, and your presence. You are making the queer community proud, and I see every one of you. Your support is not just a number. It's a movement. It's light in the dark. It's love, loud and unashamed. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for standing with me. Thank you for being you. Now back to the story. His name was Elijah. He was new in town. Moved from Raleigh, someone whispered. Played in big halls once. Someone else said. But none of that mattered when he was here, on that bench, hands dancing across keys like prayer. Before I continue with the rest of the story, kindly do me a little favor. Please hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment your favorite part of the story below. I love reading your thoughts and reactions. They truly keep me going. Now, allow me to take a moment to appreciate you. Yes, you. Thank you for making us a 28-strong community. Each one of you is a pillar of strength, color, and courage. This journey wouldn't be possible without your love, your voice, and your presence. You are making the queer community proud, and I see every one of you. Your support is not just a number. It's a movement. It's light in the dark. It's love, loud and unashamed. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for standing with me. Thank you for being you. Now back to the story. I sat in the second pew every Wednesday night after choir, waiting for that moment he thought no one was listening. That's when he played differently. That's when the real music came out, wild and fragile all at once. I think he knew I stayed. I think he wanted me to. One night, after the others had gone and the candles had burned low, I stayed seated longer than usual. My hands were folded, head bowed, pretending to pray. But really I was listening. And then his voice behind me. You always sit that still? I startled. Turned to find him standing at the end of the pew, eyes curious, smile easy. His hands were still inked with the echo of chords. Only when the music's worth it, I said. He laughed. Stepping into the aisle, the glow from the stained glass catching his face just right. He looked otherworldly, holy almost, but not in the way the pastor preached about. He nodded toward the bench. Want to see the organ up close? I hesitated, then nodded. What harm could it do? He led me up the altar steps. Closed now. I could see the slight roughness in his hands. The way his fingers moved like they never stopped playing, even when still. We sat side by side, barely touching. Try something, he said. Anything. I touched one key. Soft, unsure. He leaned in, guiding my hand with his. And maybe it was the hush of the empty sanctuary. Maybe it was the way the light dipped low through the glass, painting us in stories. Or maybe it was just him, that nearness, that impossibly gentle touch. But for the first time in years, I felt something stir I hadn't dared name since high school. Elijah looked over at me, eyes searching. You okay? Yeah, I said. Lie. I wasn't okay. I was something else entirely. The next Wednesday, I didn't wait for the others to leave. I walked up to Elijah mid-rehearsal and asked if he needed help sorting the sheet music. He looked surprised. You read? Barely. I lied. I didn't want to sort music. I just wanted to be near him again. Closer than the pews allowed, closer than decency suggested. He handed me a worn folder and smiled. Then you're hired. We sat together again at the bench. shoulders nearly touching, flipping through pieces titled with foreign names and forgotten composers. He hummed one softly, and something about the sound lodged under my skin. "I like that one," I said. "You haven't heard it yet. I meant your voice." The look he gave me then was something between curiosity and a dare. He didn't say anything for a moment, just watched me, quiet, considering. Then, "You always say exactly what you're thinking?" "No, just the parts that feel brave enough." The church was silent around us, heavy with waiting. I glanced at the stained glass window behind the altar, the one with the angel, hands open, eyes kind. I used to think that angel was watching. Now I wasn't so sure. Maybe it was just listening. Elijah closed the folder and leaned back on the bench. "You always stay after choir. I like the quiet. I think you like me." His voice wasn't cocky, just honest, straightforward. And something in me, something small and careful, wanted to run. But I didn't. Instead, I nodded. "I think I do." He smiled, slowly, like it was something he'd been waiting to hear. "You're not the only one," he said. We didn't move closer, didn't touch, but something passed between us, warmer than the sanctuary lights, thicker than the silence. It wasn't holy, but it wasn't wrong either, not when it felt this right. By Sunday morning, the pews were full. Choir robes rustled. Babies cried. The pastor's voice boomed with fire and grace. But I wasn't listening. Not really. Not when Elijah sat at the organ, hands like spells, gaze flicking up every few minutes to find me. When he did, I felt it in places I hadn't let feel anything in years. And when he looked away, I missed it after the benediction. I didn't rush out like the others. I lingered, pretended to flip through hymnals, gnawed at the older members, fixed my collar. I waited. He took longer than usual, talking to someone from the finance team. But then he glanced over at me, gave a subtle nod toward the back hallway, and I followed. We didn't speak until we reached the quiet, forgotten corridor behind the choir loft, where old banners hung like relics and light barely reached the dusty floor. Elijah leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You ever get tired of pretending?" I swallowed. The air back here was heavy. "What makes you think I'm pretending?" He smiled just slightly. "Because you never look more alive than when you're trying to look like you're not." I chuckled, nervous, unsure. "That obvious?" He stepped a little closer. "To me? Yeah." We stood there, inches apart. The hallway was narrow, the kind that didn't allow for space. I could feel the warmth of him, the unspoken current between us. Quiet, pulsing. "I keep thinking," I said slowly, "that this shouldn't be happening here, in a church. That it's—" He raised a hand, not to touch me, just to stop me. "You don't have to explain. I've done that speech. To myself. 100 times. And I finally stopped apologizing for how I feel in the places I feel it most." He leaned in, not to kiss, not yet, but close enough that I could see the edge of vulnerability in his eyes. Then his voice softened. "I think you're beautiful when you kneel to pray." That landed hard in my chest. Not because of what he said, but how he said it. Like it wasn't about temptation or lust or even longing. It was reverence. And I didn't know what to do with that. I turned slightly, shoulder to the wall now, trying to find the ground again. "We shouldn't." "Probably not," he murmured, stepping close enough that our sleeves brushed. "But maybe not everything beautiful needs permission." I closed my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, I prayed without words. It was Wednesday again, but rehearsal ended early. The rain had started just before sunset, slow at first, then heavy. By the time we stepped outside, the parking lot was slick with reflection. I had no umbrella. Neither did he. "Come on," Elijah said, his keys jangling in his hand. "My place is close. You'll be soaked if you walk." There wasn't even a pause in me. I nodded, Lead the way. His apartment was upstairs in an old Victorian house, converted into units. The hallway smelled like wet wood and old books. When he pushed open his door, I stepped into a space that was warm and unexpectedly lived in. Records stacked near a player, an open piano book on the stand, and a framed photo of his mom and sister on the windowsill. "I've got towels," he said, disappearing into the bathroom. I stood near the radiator, trying to gather myself. My hoodie clung to me, damp and heavy. I peeled it off just as he returned, handing me a faded navy towel. "Thanks." He nodded and didn't look away. "You ever get nervous?" I asked, not sure why. He tilted his head. "About what?" "This. Us. Whatever this is." He sat on the edge of the armrest, towel still in hand. "Yeah, every time you look at me like you're deciding whether to stay or run." I laughed softly. "I've always been a runner." "I know," he said, and then more gently, "but you're here." I was. And that truth hung in the air like the steam from my skin, real, unspoken, warm. Elijah turned on the record player. A slow, piano-heavy jazz track started, something rich and moody. He walked to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of something amber. "Tea," he said. "Mostly." I took the glass, our fingers brushing for half a second longer than needed. We stood by the window as the storm rolled in harder, the thunder low and constant. He looked out, then at me. "You're quieter here." "I think I like how silent sound when I'm with you." He didn't say anything, just set his glass down and reached out, not suddenly, not like he was trying to make a move, just his hand on mine. Still, present. We stood there a while, fingers lightly locked, watching lightning dance across the sky. And then slowly, wordlessly, we moved to the couch. He pulled the throw blanket over us. I leaned into him, his arm wrapped around my shoulder like it had always belonged there. Nothing happened. Not really. But the tension was a steady hum, and every inch between us felt like a decision waiting to be made. At one point, I looked up. His eyes were on me, soft and steady. "I want to kiss you," he whispered. I didn't answer with words. I just closed the space. And when our lips met, it was slow, intentional, not rushed, not desperate, just a quiet unfolding of something long held back. And in that storm-wrapped apartment, surrounded by books and rain and breathless quiet, I stayed. The morning light spilled through the curtains like a gentle promise. I woke tangled in warmth, Elijah's steady breath the only sound in the room. For a moment, I let myself believe this was a new kind of sanctuary, one made of quiet moments and slow awakenings. We didn't rush. The tension from the night before settled like a comfortable weight between us. Neither of us pushing, just being. At breakfast, Elijah made coffee with a care I hadn't expected. Measuring beans, pouring water, the little rituals somehow intimate. I watched him, the way his brow furrowed in concentration, the subtle curve of his smile when he caught me looking. "Coffee's better when you're not in a rush," he said, sliding a cup toward me. I nodded, savoring the warmth as it spread through my fingers. Later, as I helped him tidy the small kitchen, our hands brushed again. This time, neither of us pulled away. He looked up, eyes soft, and said, "You know, I never imagined I'd want to share this with anyone. Not like this." "Me neither," I admitted, "but it feels right." Elijah reached for my hand, fingers lacing through mine. "It's sacred in a way." I smiled, feeling the weight of that word settle inside me. Sacred, not the kind bound by sermons or stained glass, but something deeper, a trust, a connection that didn't need a label. That afternoon, we took our time exploring the city, wandering through quiet streets, stopping at a little bookstore where he recommended a poetry collection. We read verses aloud to each other, voices low, sharing laughs and stolen glances. As evening fell, Elijah invited me back to his place again. This time there was no rain, but the air between us was charged, expectant, tender. We settled onto the couch, the poetry book forgotten on the floor. He traced gentle circles on my palm, his touch light, but deliberate. I want this to be slow, he said. Every moment, every touch meaningful. I nodded, my heart racing but steady. We leaned into each other, lips brushing, hands exploring the space between wanting and waiting. There was no rush, no pressure, just two people discovering something rare and fragile. And I thought, maybe this was what grace really felt like. The city lights outside the window flickered like distant stars as we settled into the quiet of Elijah's apartment again. The evening was soft, almost sacred in its stillness, and the world outside felt miles away. We sat close on the couch, the glow of a single lamp casting long shadows. His fingers found mine again, gentle but sure, weaving our hands together like a secret promise. I've never felt like this before, Elijah whispered, voice low enough that it was almost swallowed by the silence. Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I swallowed hard, the words resonating deeper than I expected. Me too. He tilted his head, eyes searching mine like he was memorizing every inch of me in the dim light. I don't want this to be something we hide. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something open inside me. For years, I'd buried pieces of myself beneath layers of caution and fear. But here with him, I felt seen. Leaning in, I rested my forehead against his, breathing in the quiet electricity between us. He smiled, a soft, slow curve that made my chest ache. You're safe with me, he said, and I believe him. His hand traced up my arm, fingertips feather-light, sending warmth rippling through me. We didn't need words. We didn't need words. The room held our unspoken confession, the trembling anticipation of everything that might come next. When he finally leaned forward, his lips brushed mine in a kiss that was hesitant at first, an exploration, a question. I answered with everything I had, pulling him closer, savoring the slow fire that kindled between us. And in that hush, the world felt like it was made just for us. The morning came quietly, soft sunlight slipping to the curtains like a whispered promise. I woke tangled in Elijah's arms, the steady rhythm of his breath a comforting pulse beneath my skin. For a moment, I stayed still, just listening, memorizing the way his chest rose and fell, the warmth that radiated from him. It felt like safety, like home. We didn't speak right away. There was no need. The silence was full, charged with everything neither of us dared say out loud. But as the day pressed on, reality started to creep back in. Outside the apartment, the world was loud, complicated, full of expectations I wasn't sure we were ready to meet. Elijah looked at me over breakfast, eyes steady. I don't want to lose this, he said quietly. Us. I don't want that either, I whispered, my fingers curling around his. But it won't be easy, he admitted, his voice low but firm. There are things I haven't told you, things I'm still working through. I nodded, heart pounding with the weight of the unspoken. Me too. For the first time, the walls between us felt less like barriers and more like fragile glass, beautiful but vulnerable. We promised to be honest, to face the hard stuff together. That night, we sat by the window, watching the city's pulse as we talked for hours about fears, past wounds, hopes for what could be. Every word chipped away at the walls we'd built around ourselves. And when Elijah reached for me again, it was with a tenderness that made my breath hitch. No rush, no pressure, just two people leaning into something real, something worth fighting for. The air between us had shifted, subtle, electric, like the moment right before a storm breaks. We'd spent the day together, wandering through the city's quiet corners, laughing, stealing touches when no one was looking. But as evening fell, something unspoken stretched taut between us, begging to be acknowledged. Back in Elijah's apartment, the space felt smaller, charged with possibility. He caught my hand as I reached for a glass of water, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that took my breath away. "Can I tell you something?" he asked, voice low, almost trembling. "Anything," I said, heart pounding. He hesitated for just a second, then leaned in, his lips brushing my ear as he whispered, "I've never wanted anyone like this before." That simple confession cracked something inside me. Walls crumbled, defenses melted. I turned to face him fully, tracing the line of his jaw with my fingertips. "I've never felt this way either," I said, my voice barely more than a breath. Our faces drew closer, the space between us disappearing with every heartbeat. His hand slid up my arm, warm and sure, and I melted into the moment. We didn't need to speak. Our bodies said everything. The kiss deepened, slow, searching, tender. No urgency, just the raw ache of two people finally crossing lines they've been circling for too long. When he pulled back just enough to look into my eyes, his smile was shy, but full of promise. "We don't have to rush," he said. "But I want you. All of you." I nodded, overwhelmed and exhilarated. "Me too." And in that quiet, perfect instant, the world felt like it was ours to take. The night had fallen soft and slow around us, the city lights twinkling like distant promises through the windows. We sat side by side on Elijah's couch, bodies close but not rushing, letting the silence stretch comfortably between us. His hand found mine again, fingers weaving together like a whispered vow. I could feel the steady beat of his heart against my own, a rhythm that matched mine perfectly. He turned to me, eyes glistening in the dim light, and smiled that shy, knowing smile that made my chest ache. "We don't need to say anything," he murmured. "No," I agreed. "I just want to be here, with you." Slowly, deliberately, he pulled me closer, our foreheads resting together as the world outside faded away. There was a softness to his touch, a reverence that made everything feel sacred, this closeness, this trust. We didn't need words or grand gestures, just a quiet, tender intimacy of two souls finally finding their way home in each other. As the night deepened, we stayed wrapped in that gentle warmth. No rush, no expectations, just a beautiful, endless promise of what was to come. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole.